prime time lesson 1.2 was I can identify information about a number by looking at that number. You were to do problems 8 through 13 in the applications for homework. Number 8 says, in the following factor game, some of the scores are missing on the tally sheet. So your tally sheet looks like this. You have Kathy, which I'm marking with a C, and Kaiko. So you have 24, 36, 21, question mark, 9, question mark, 30. Letter A says, in round 1, Kathy chooses 24, so I'm circling 24 with one color. Make a game board. Mark Kathy's choice and Kiko's factors. So remember, you can only mark the ones that aren't already circled. So immediately I'm going to circle 1, because I know 1 times 24, which is already circled, equals 24. 2 and 12. 3 and 8. 4 and 6. And if I add all of those up, that equals 36. B says, in round 2, it's Kiko's turn. Kathy scored 21 points. What number did Kiko pick? So I have to think to myself, of the remaining pieces, which one has 2 factors that will add up to 21? And it's of the factors that are remaining. So for B, Kiko picked 28, so I'm going to circle 28 with orange. And Kathy then picked, she can't pick 1 because it's already chosen. She can't pick 2 because it's already chosen, but she can get 14 because 28 divided by 2 equals 14. She can't pick 3. She can't pick 4. But she can pick 7 from the 4 and the 7 because 4 times 7 is 28. 7 plus 14 is 21. C says, in round 3, it's Kathy's turn. Kiko scored 9 points. What number might Kathy have picked? So again, figuring out what number would give a factor. And my hint to you is that you need to pick a number that has 9 as a factor. D, in round 4, it's Kiko's turn. Kiko chose 30. What did Kathy score? So this one's the same as A. Circle 30, and then figure out the factors that haven't already been picked. E says, in round 5, it's Kathy's turn. What is Kathy's best move? Explain your choice. So pick one of the remaining numbers that has uncircled factors. And then explain why you picked that one. 9 says, Lorena understands factors. Sometimes she has trouble finding all of the factors of a number. What advice would you give Lorena to help her find all of the factors of a number? Demonstrate by finding all of the factors of 110. So we know we need to check every number beginning with 1 until you begin to get the same factors over again. With each small number factor, you will find a second factor when you divide. So our factors so if we have 110 as our factor, or what we're trying to find the factors of, we make our little rainbow. that we've talked about. So I'm going to start with 1. And I'm going to go all the way down here to write 110. Then I'm going to do 2. So if I did 110 divided by 2, I would get 55. Then 3. Well, 3 can't go into 11 evenly. I can't divide 11 by 3, so I'm going to skip that. Won't go into 4. 4 times 2 is 8. It's not quite 11. And then 4 times 3 is 12, so it's over 11. Can't do that one. Then I'll do 5. 5 goes in 11 times. Oh, I'm sorry, 22 times. I skipped one. And then I would have 10. And 10 times 11 is 110. So you always want to start with your smallest number and then divide to find your other factor. 10 says, find 2 numbers that have 2, 3, and 5 as factors. What other factors do these 2 numbers have in common? So, one number you might have found is 30. It says find 2 numbers. So I have 30, and then, because if I list my factors, I have 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 10, 15, 30. So I need to find another one. So let's think of maybe our multiples of 2 or our multiples of 5 that would have 30 and 2 as the same, as a similar, have a factor in common. So I'm going to do an easy one, and I'm going to pick 60 because I know 60 is a multiple of 30. So I'd have 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 10, 12, 15, 20, 30, 60. So you could have 30 and then any other multiple of 30. So they all have 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and 10 in common. And they probably have 15 in common too then. So you should have 30 and some other multiple of 30. B is very similar. It says find 3 numbers that have 2, 4, and 8 as factors. What do these numbers have in common? So again, find that first number that have 2, 4, and 8 as a factor, and then find the multiple of that number. 11. Suppose you circle a prime number in the factor game. Your opponent receives at most 1 point. Explain why. Use examples. So in the factor game, your opponent scores points for proper factors of the number you choose. The only proper factor of a prime number, such as 2, 3, and 7, is 1. So they'd get at least 1 score for that number. So you should have something similar to that written down on your paper. B. So if they score at least 1 point for a prime number, what would happen with a composite number? The question says, suppose you circle a composite number in the factor game. Your opponent might receive more points than you. Explain why and give some examples. So again, with a prime number, they're always going to get at least 1. Because the only other factor of that number would be 1. So what makes it possible for the composite number to have a bigger score? 12 says, the expression 3 times n can be written without the multiplication sign, such as 3n. For each expression in parts A through C, use n equals 1, 2, 3 to 10 to evaluate the expression. Describe the sets of 10. Suppose the sequence continues for values of n greater than 10. Do the numbers 12, 21, 30, or 210 appear in the sequence? So if we're just looking at A, we have A, which is 3n. So if I start and plug 1 through 10 in, I get 3 times 1 is 3, 3 times 2 is 6, 3 times 3 is 9, 3 times 4 is 12, 3 times 5 is 15, 3 times 6 is 18, 3 times 7 is 21, 3 times 8 is 24, 3 times 9 is 27, 3 times 10 is 30. So, what are these numbers? These are the multiples of 3. So, for your little 2, because it has the 3 bullet points. So, describe the sets of 10 numbers. The set of 10 numbers are the first 10 multiples of 3. So it then says, do 12, 21, 30, or 210 appear in the sequence? 12, 21, 30, and 210 will appear in the sequence because they're all multiples of 3. Look, we have 12, we have 12, we have 21, we have 30, and look, we have they want us to know about 210. Well, we know 3 times 7 would be 21, so we know then if I add a 0 to that 7 and make it 70, 3 times 70 would be 21 as well. These are the similar steps you're going to do for B, which is 7n, and C, which is 6n. "13. The factor game can be played on a board that includes the whole numbers 1 to 49. So you were supposed to extend your table for analyzing the first moves on a 30 board to include all of the numbers on your 49 board. So just like you did with 1 through 30, now you need to make one 31 through 49. What new primes can you find? I'm going to give you a few. So for B, one prime number you might find is 31. Another you might find is 41. And 47. There are 2 others that need to be listed on your paper. What new square numbers can you find? So remember, a square number is a number that its 2 factors are the same. For example, 5 times 5 equals 25. 25 is a square number. One square number you found would be 36 because 6 times 6 equals 36. You need to give me the other square number. Tell me what is the best first move on a 49 board and why, and what would be the worst move on the 49 board other than 1 and why.